Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. We got Jarrell Hendricks back working the board with controls on the backside there. We're here for our round 2 playoff preview show, John. Round 1, you get a couple upsets, you get a couple big games, but overall nothing too crazy. I think here in round 2, we have a full slate of really, really good ball games.
Yeah, we got a lot of games this Friday. They could be Thanksgiving weekend type games for upper state, lower state championships that we've got going on Friday. And it's a testament to what we've been saying all year long, how so many of these classes are really all of them are so deep. And it's great because here early second round playoffs, we have some really, really good matchups.
Yeah. We were narrowing down our games of the week the other day, and I was like, man, we could choose 8, 9, 10, 11 of these because they're all getting to be pretty big at this point, but we did narrow it down for you guys. But if you guys tune in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show at Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube Live. Love to have you guys join us for that and ask about your team and your games and comment with us. That's a lot of fun to do. Do a weekly recap show. Comes out on Sundays on the podcast platforms, recapping all the games from the previous round, giving you our stock up, our play performer, stuff like that. It's definitely a lot of fun to do that. And then we do our Twitter/X Spaces on Friday night over on Twitter/X, basically a live scoreboard show. We get the scores from across the state. We have different fans and commentators and coaches and players join us to talk about the game. It's a lot of fun to get your guys' thoughts from all across the state. Definitely check us out on all of those platforms and follow us and check out all of our shows we do as well. Before we get into our games of the week, let's do a quick shout out to our merch, MTC merch. We got some nice Richardson hats here. We got some gray ones. We've got some other gray with black backing. Got some more black. Love to have you guys support the guys. We've got some toboggans as well, black and gray, really good stuff. mtcgear.sc@gmail.com with all your questions. We've got hoodies, gray, white, really comfortable stuff. I've worn mine for probably 3 or 4 games in a row now.
Yeah, I love
feels
mine.
Super good. Everybody who's bought one loves them. It's got the logo on the back, logo on the pocket. Definitely get one to support the guys. Love to have you guys repping our merch and helping us make the show better and better and buy better equipment and whatnot. So appreciate you guys supporting us with that. But John, let's take a look now at our games of the week brought to you by CONA, CONA.care for more information. 3 locations in the upstate for all of your orthopedic and neurosurgical needs. Our first one here is a 5A matchup that you would usually not see this team that's on the road be on the road this early in the playoffs. But that is Fort Dorchester. It's 7-3, finishing number 2 in their region, traveling to White Knoll. The Timberwolves, a perfect 11-0 so far. Last week, Fort D defeated SCISA 40-14. White Knoll blanked Cane Bay 28-0. That Fort D game, though, John, a lot closer than the final score was. It was 17-14, I think either late third or early fourth there for the Patriots really pulled away. They're averaging 37 on offense, 25 on defense for the season. Quarterback Bennett Riffer, I think, is kind of taking over that job there for the Patriots. He's doing a great job for them as well. 23 for 34 last week, 256 and 2 touchdowns. Running back Davion Brown is a stud, a smaller guy, a stout guy, but tough to bring down, really shifty in the hole there. Bunch of wide receivers, Multi Snyder, Marquise Muhammad, Monty Johnson, defensively led by Jaden Acevedo. This is a game, John, where it's almost, who's been here and who hasn't type game. Where, obviously White Knoll is the higher seed. They've got the better record, but they're not a team that's really made this deep of a run before. While Fort D has kind of been the king of lower state outside of Dutch Fork for the last several years, it feels like.
In Gaffney, you got to throw them in there too. This is and Fort D, I feel like has played a lot better football in region play. They were 2-2, so that's Fort D. They were actually 1-3 in region play. Did not play. I got my numbers all. They're undefeated in region play.
Yeah. Except for Somerville.
3-1.
Yeah.
They've been playing better as of late. I'm trying to look at too many numbers. Fort D played better as the year went on. I think they had some new pieces in key roles. Obviously, breaking in a new quarterback this year, new starting quarterback, and they really started to come on. And they keep in mind, they nearly beat Gaffney earlier in the year at the reservation.
I think the game was actually in 4D, I believe. Yeah.
Playing some pretty good football. White Knoll's been consistent all year, played really good defense. their one marquee win is that Dutch Fork win, not the Dutch Fork team we're accustomed to last few years. But I just, this is a game where I'm not sure, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'm just not sure how these two teams match up with one another, because there's really, we're talking about White Knoll in the Midlands, Fort D down the Low Country. They don't have any, I don't think they have any common opponents, and it's just tough to tell for me which way this game's going to swing. I think it's easy to say, well, hey, Fort Dorchester's been here before, that they know the spotlight. They're kind of built for this kind of game, whereas White Knoll, slightly new territory for them. You can say they do get this game at home. I think they win the game because they're at home. I don't know that they're necessarily the better team, but I think being at home is going to be the difference maker in a very close game here. But being at home, and I think they have the better defense in this matchup as well. Those two things, I think, is going to put White Knoll slightly ahead for this game.
White Knoll led by quarterback Landon Sharp, 20 for 23, 239 and 3 touchdowns passing last week. Also ran for 35 and another touchdown there. Running back Tyon Fanning, wide receivers Evan Henderson, Austin Cunningham. Cunningham had 2 touchdowns last week. But defensively is where they really do a good job. They're averaging 38 on offense, only 6 points per game on defense. Great linebacking core. Domenico Banks, 90 tackles on the season. Jaden Kimball, 86 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, doing a great job there for them. And then Lincoln Ayunga, one of our players of the week earlier this season, has 7 sacks, 20 hurries. They really get after you there for Coach Pelham. He's a defensive guy coming over from that Tom Knotts tree there. Has this, this program playing the best they probably ever have, probably the best season in White Knoll history. I'm really excited for this ball game. Fort D, like you said, John, they had a couple, tough losses early in the year, played well down the stretch. I thought they would be a little bit tighter with Somerville than they were. That game kind of got out of hand late, yeah. I felt like there. And I think that from what I've heard from talks to some folks, a few too many penalties right now for Fort D. And in a game like this, you can't have that happen. I like White Knoll a lot. Love the quarterback Sharp, but I really like that defense like you do, John. I think the Timberwolves win this game, continue their perfect season. I think they get a win at home this week.
I think it's going to be very, very close, though.
For sure. Drill, any comments on this ball game, or just anybody else want to say hey to for the next CONA game of the week?
Do we have comments? Of course we do. So this is the best part of the show. Get all the shout outs. I love it.
Kevron, good to see you, man. Appreciate you being in here.
Kevron.
Zach, great to have you, man. Gonna be a great game from Clinton for sure. Ethan, good to see you, buddy. Corey, good to have you in here as always. James Island and Marion, that's big ones. Armani Bird, yeah, big game. Clover Gaffney. Clover's on a roll, 9 in a row right now. Will be a big one at home. RJ said, let's go. Chapman. Chapman's got a big one as well. Appreciate you being in here, RJ. Dion, good seeing you, man. I keep saying every game's big because they are all big. So, yeah, Bradley, great to have you in here, man. Corey, yeah, Marion's on a roll. They're playing great football. Had another big shutout last week. Jason says, Louisville, we know what Louisville's doing. They're rolling. Got a good test this week for sure against St. Joe's. Good seeing you, Caleb. Appreciate you being in here. James, good to have you, man. Burns got a good test with Hillcrest this week at home. They're playing good football. Brent, talking about Strom Thurmond, they're on a roll. The Revs are playing great. Steve, great to have you. Northwestern is playing great football. I do think they will roll this week for sure.
They've been playing great football since we put the ball on the field.
Yeah, Jeffrey says it'll be a tough game for Fort D. It certainly will. Bradley says White Knoll is going to roll, but Fort D is matured. They have. Jeffrey says cut Fort penalties out. Yeah, exactly. I've heard the same thing, Jeffrey. A little bit undisciplined. See what that happens there. Dion says White Knoll 28-17. I like that score. I was thinking kind of a 28-21 type thing there. Landon says he's got White Knoll. I think we all are leaning that way right now. Fort played number 2 QB last week. Oh, resting Watson. Okay, that's good to know because I saw that Rifford played basically the whole game for them. Did not know that Watson was planning to come back. So that's interesting dynamic there if they go with Charles Watson, the lefty, this week. Julie, appreciate you being in here. The lines are rolling, as you know. Brent says Strom Thurmond. They're on a roll. They're playing great football in 2A. Tay, good to have you and your buddy, as always. Go Revs. I love it.
Oh, let's see. We got more, man. I've never seen this many opening comments.
Hey, I'm excited to talk with this Hartsville guy. That's the game of the week. We'll get down there in a minute here, Tank, for sure. Andrews will be at Hampton County. Yep. Vicky says, let's go Chester. Chester's got a tough one this week. Ethan, Fort D has the experience. That is one thing that we talked about. That's going to be a game changer. Justin says James Allen will win state. 4A is going to be tough, but they're playing great football. Terrence, Hampton County and House. Great to have you in here, man. You guys are playing great ball as well. Kurt and Tony have the Warhorses. Big win this week. Got a tough one with Marion this week. We'll see how that one goes down. Landon Hill got Barnwell Marion. We'll get that in a little bit here in our 2A matchup. That would be a fun game. Barnwell upset those guys a couple years ago. This time at Foxville, we'll see how that one goes. We'll get to that one here in a little bit.
Let's go to the next game, guys.
Awesome. Our next CONA game of the week. John, you talked about most of these games are round 3, upper state, lower state level. This is one that we usually see lower state weekend here. Camden at Dillon. The Bulldogs are 8-3. Dillon 10-1. Last season, Dillon beat Camden in round 3, 31-14 at Zemp Stadium. This time they're going over to the White Walls, John. The strongest, but he's got really good feet, really shifty in the hole. Yeah. Almost like a ballerina, if that makes sense. Like he can dance, cut, really good there in the hole for sure. Running back Peanut Singletary as well as a threat for them. The O-line, we know what they've got. Josiah Thompson, Mr. Football Finalist, South Carolina commit, leading the way up front for the Wildcats. Defensively led by Zay Davis at the back end. This Ramon McCollum there at the linebacker spot. We know they can always fly around. They can always play defense, John, at Dillon. The Nasty Cats are always going to be there. You couple that with them being between the White Walls. Can Camden win this game, or you think Dillon just too much overcome right now?
I was very surprised last year, and I know every year every team is a little bit different, but I was very surprised last year when Beaufort went between the White Walls and knocked off Dillon. Now we saw Beaufort go on and win the state championship, very much deserved, but that was a game where there's a play, you could argue maybe a play and maybe another call did not go Dillon's way, and they weren't able to overcome that. I think this Camden team is dangerous enough offensively to give Dillon a lot of trouble. Grayson White has had an incredible year at quarterback for them. Mayrant out wide for them has had a great year as well. They've got weapons on the outside, which is a little bit the last few years. Camden, Landon, he's come a long way. He certainly has come a long way. He's playing his best football right now. This is a little bit different of a Camden team. I think they've got a little bit more ability to stretch the field, which really helps them in this game against a Dillon defense that is very stout. But my issue with the Bulldogs is every big test that they've had this year, they've been on the losing end. Now those big tests have been Gray,
Hartsville,
Crestwood. Those are 3 really, really good football teams. Not able to win those games. Dillon has not been tested the same as Camden had. They both played Hartsville, both lost. But I think this Dillon team in a tight game, I trust this Dillon team at home a little bit more than Camden. I think both have got great talent. I think Dillon might have a little bit more talent than Camden does right now. They're at home, tough place to play. It's going to be a huge atmosphere, being that this has been almost an annual late November game.
Big playoff matchup every year, it feels like.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I like Dillon a little bit at home, though, more so than Camden.
Camden, you mentioned Grayson White last week, 11 for 15, 4 touchdowns passing, also another touchdown rushing for them. Running back Avery Hickman, wide receivers John Maynard, Maxwell Ford. Defensively led by Wilson Nash at linebacker, Presbott doing the job there. And also JoJo Krim at DB, one of the better DBs in the state, a young guy also playing some receiver for them. Camden is a team that, going into our preview show last week, John, when I was thinking about teams I thought could make a deep run, Camden was one I put on there because while they had a couple, weird games in the middle of the year, really that Gray game, that Hartsville game where they just kind of got manhandled up front, it felt like. After that, played pretty good football. I know they lost to Crestwood, but they were in that game there. And they're a team that it's not just like the program has been there before and like knows how to win, but all these players have been there before. Like Hickman and Mayrant and White, they've been playing for 3-4 years, getting like significant time. So they expect to win these playoff games. They expect to make deep. I think if they get past Dillon, they have a real shot to get to the state title game if they win this week. If they get this win here, but we'll see how it goes. But I'm high on Dillon. I've been high on Dillon all year. I do kind of look at that Hartsville matchup and kind of compare it to a little bit because when Dillon played Hartsville, they were, winning that game, had a real chance to win that game late into the third quarter there, and that was when Hartsville was still at full strength. When Camden played Hartsville, it was not competitive. They got the doors blown off of them, honestly, in that matchup.
Now, Hartsville's quarterback did go out in that game.
He did get hurt against Dillon. He did.
However, for those of you out there that know anything about Hartsville, they want to run the football, though.
Yeah.
You know that, and you look at what they did. I mean, they still put up 50 plus in that game
Yep.
at Dillon. But I 100% agree. I was very impressed with the effort and what Dillon did in that game against Hartsville.
Yeah, I think if you're Camden, the way you want to play this is you want to load up against the run if you can, and you want to make Josiah Oxendine throw the ball and beat you. Can you stop Fling and Singletary, behind that Thompson and that big offensive line? That's another question. It's going to be very tough to do, obviously, there. And I think I like Dillon's defense a little bit more right now. I'm going to go with the Wildcats at home. I think this is a fourth quarter game, maybe last drive game here, 27-21, 30-28. Something like that. I think a close ball game. Dillon at home between the White Walls. I'm going with the Wildcats.
Yeah, I'll be impressed if either team is above 30 in this game. I think the defenses will shine. They're both so athletic and they've got great, football speed.
Yeah.
Like guys go, oh man, that guy can fly. You've cut the tape on and go. I mean, both of these teams fly around, especially defensively as well. I think it's gonna be an awesome, awesome ball game. And I think it's gonna be one of those games where these teams are close enough, talent wise, and they're both coached extremely well.
Yeah, Roller and
Both
Rimp, you can't
sidelines.
beat those guys. Yeah.
Doing a great job. I don't think either one of these teams is going to give it away to the other team. Whoever wins this game is going to absolutely earn it.
For sure. Drill, any comments on the Dillon-Camden game before we move on to our next CONA game of the week?
You can tell it's playoff time because the comments have not slowed down. So
Camden never been to them White Walls. So I think, I like Dillon. We'll see. Brandon, appreciate you being here. Brandon, appreciate the nice comments there for sure. Thank you for being in here. Dion says 35-20 Dillon. I don't know if it'll be that big of a blowout, but we'll see. Bradley says Camden and Dillon toss up for sure. Yeah. Ethan says Dillon's O-line. Yeah, those boys are tough. They're big up front. Don't have the depth they usually have, but they got a lot of really good frontline guys. Nathan says Dillon's region seems weak. Yeah, it is down for sure. I was surprised by the way some of those guys played. Loris didn't play well. A couple other guys there for sure. Dexter said going with Dillon. Landon says going with Dillon by about 10. At home, they beat them by what I say it was 17 last year. So Robert says Camden's better edge behind them. Hey, certainly could be. I always trust Coach Rimp to have the guys playing, but I think Dillon wins it.
They are
says by a field goal. That could certainly be it. A field goal by either team to win it late. Ryan says tight game, but expects Dillon to pull away the second half.
We also just have, want to give people some shouting out their teams here. So
do it. Dexter says self-launch repeat. The Bruins are rolling right now in 4A. Brent says Deshaun Reeder is the truth. Rest ready to repeat. Yeah, he's playing great right now. The Northwestern commit there. Tanisha says big crossers. Allendale. Cross is playing great football. Have been all year long. Tanisha, we'll get it out in here in a little bit in the 1A breakdown.
I love November and Cross.
Kurt says everyone in Barnwell County won last week. That is a great point. That region or that area had a great week for sure. Philip says go Midland Valley beat South Point. That would be a fun game in 4A there. Gabe, what's going on, man? Hey, one of the best quarterbacks in the state, Gabe Cusack. Somebody offer this kid, man. Give him a shot at Marion there. I love those Marion County boys. Tank, what's going on, buddy? Good to have you in here.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got for right now. So, actually, Gabe's got the pick.
Gabe's got Cameron. Okay. I like it. Certainly could happen. And both are good. Robert says Dillon will win.
Yep, that's all we got for comments on this one. Let's go to the next game, guys.
Love it. Looking at our third CONA game of the week, John, a big 4A matchup. Hartsville at 8-3 at James Island 11-0. We just talked about the Red Foxes. Obviously, they had some injuries this year, and that's what really hurt them. McKendry Douglas went down for a while. Cornell McDaniel went down for a while. The linebacker, I can't remember his name. He was out for a little bit there for them as well. But they won last week, 70-27 on AC floor, averaging 43 on offense, 24 on defense. James Island, they've been perfect all year long. 49-6 over Wilson. Actually, we're down 6-0 in that ball game. Rattled off 49 points from there. Averaging 42 on offense, 5 on defense. I think they've got like 5 shutouts in the season, playing great football on that side of the ball, especially. Hartsville averaging 43 on offense, 24 on defense. Running back Carmelo McDaniel is back. And just an awesome story, John. You were at that South Florence game where he went down. There was questions of would he even play football anymore, especially in high school. And now he's back. Ran for, I think, $180 last week, 3 touchdowns. Love to see that awesome in the playoffs, especially. Hakeem Waters is back. He's doing a great job. He ran for 180+, I think, last week as well, a couple touchdowns. McKendry Douglas, fully healthy. One of my favorite quarterbacks in the state. Can get it done through the air and on the ground. And the way he commands that offense is just fun to watch. Demarion Coe gives him another speedster in the return game and in this defensive secondary especially. James Island, quarterback Braxton Scott, 2 touchdown passes last week. Running back Montre Scott, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Wide receiver Whooshy Ravenel. one of the best names in the state for sure.
Yeah, that's great.
Wishy Ravenel.
Great low country name.
Yes, defensively led by Glover, Whaley, and Jefferson. John, I think this game is going to be really, really fun because Hartsville, they're a lot better than a 3 seed. I mean, they are much better than a 3 seed. And James Island has just been great all year long, dominating everybody. They beat a good Stratford team early in the year. Didn't play the toughest, schedule throughout the season, but then came back and beat a very good Lucy Beckham team a couple weeks ago. They're playing great football, man. I think this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight here.
This is an awesome matchup where you've got a Hartsville team that is offensively as good as anybody in the state when they're healthy. And it sounds like they are 100% healthy now. You love to see that for them. And then you got a James Island team. I don't know if anybody in the state plays better defense than these guys. This is you can't ask for a better matchup, especially in the second round. This is another one I talked about. This could be a lower state championship. Heck, you could say, I know they're both lower state. These two teams could play for the state championship. And I don't think anybody would say, hey, wait a minute now. They're both that good. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to see a lower scoring ball game, though. I think, and I like James Island. I think James Island, I like that their defense is really good. I think they'll be able to contain Hartsville to a degree. I think they'll be able to do enough. And then that Hartsville defense has been a little spotty. We both have seen them play maybe a little bit undersized at the second level. I think if James Island can take advantage of some size, get some points on the board, and I say some, this is another game where 24 points might win the game. This is going to be a great game. I could see a 24, 21-20 kind of ball game where we got somebody's going for 2 at the end, or, there's a 4th down play inside the 5, and that decides the ball game. I like James Island in this one, but boy, there's no twisting of my arm that I could set an over under or anything like that for this game. I think this is gonna be an awesome game. But I'm gonna side with defense. I want to side a little bit with defense, and that's James Island.
Yeah, and John, you've got their schedule there. How many points have they given up, like most in a game this year? It can't be more than 21, if that.
Let's see. They had a bad night to start the season when they gave up 7 against Stratford. Then they rolled off 3 shutouts in a row. Cane Bay got on the board against them. May River put up 14, and no one else has put up more than 14.
So 14 is the most. I will say, I'm going to go on record. I think Hartsville scores more than 14.
Yeah,
I'll say that. Will they win the game, though? That's going to be the tough part. Yeah, I think Hartsville may have been the team that I picked to make a deep run like preseason in 4A. Obviously, the injuries really hurt them in the middle of the year there. But when they're at full strength, they're really tough. Like, the defense, let's get Lucy Beckham, Ethan says. Okay, what was that number there, John? Do you have it, or it may be incorrect on Max Preps? You never know with those guys.
I had that they won that game 24-13. Maybe not.
Either way. But, yeah. Hartsville, the defense, I think, will give some points to James Island as well. So they're going to have to figure out a way to score enough. But I think when they're running that offense, man, with that run game with McDaniel and Waters and Douglas, and you throw in Coe as well, that is tough to stop, man. I'm going to go Hartsville in a really close one, upset on the road. Probably going to eat these words on Sunday when Coach McCoy and the boys just dominate. But I like what the Red Foxes are doing when they're at full health. I love Coach Calabrese, what he does there. And that offense is tough to prepare for, man. You don't see a lot of that kind of, I like to say, kind of that Jamie Chadwell coastal offense there where you get, kind of the pistol, but you get some triple option wing T elements to it as well. So I like Hartsville in a close one here, but I've been wrong before. So we'll see.
It's the perfect offense for their personnel because they've got so many guys that they can operate in that offense and that are, very, very fast, very athletic, very smart. They play very smart, protect the football pretty well. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, this is a game where this is going to be one of the games top of my list following Friday to see how that game progresses.
Yeah.
That's, man, it could be, well, I don't think it's going to be 10-7, but it could.
Yeah, I'm
it
excited.
Could be 49-42.
I'm excited for the Red Foxes and the Trojans to get after it for sure. But Drill, any comments on this ball game? I think we're blowing up. Looks like from what I can tell on the side over here.
Just a couple to answer Zach. They did not play in the playoffs last year. I think
No.
they lost. I think Hartsville lost to AC Flora.
AC Flora and South Florence
Yep.
beat James Island, I believe.
Yeah,
Just,
James Island made it pretty deep though.
Corey, not sure. Looking at maybe Fort D. White Knoll. We shall see. Terrence need to come to Hampton County. We need to, man. Your boys are playing great football down there. Deion says Hartsville run game too much, 28-20.
I can see that score.
Landon says he's going to roll with James Island here. Lucy Beckman was huge. Yes, it certainly was. Ethan says, yep, 5.5 points per game for James Island. That is pretty tough there for the Trojans. Nathan says James Island not played offense as prolific as Hartsville, also tradition travels. That is certainly true, man. James Island, a program that's on the ascent for sure.
Yeah.
Hartsville has been there, done that under Coach Calabrese especially. Tank says 0 players still out. Yeah, that is huge there for the Red Foxes, having that full repertoire there going into this ball game. Jeffrey says Hartsville in a close one. Bulldogs are strong throwing in the building. Hey, the Rebs are rolling, my man. Never picked the Red Foxes hurt for 2012. Man, Hartsville has had some good football teams over the years, certainly, man. They have had some good squads. Ryan says, agreed, had their hands full with Hartsville. Yep, I think so too.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got right now. I think the linebacker you talked, was it Webb Barnes? Is that
Webb Barnes? That's it. That's it. I think he is back as well. Yep.
So, yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, guys.
Perfect. Our next CONA game of the week. A 5A matchup again here. A rematch of 2 state title games, John.
Yeah.
Dutch Fork traveling to TL Hanna. The Silver Foxes are 6-5. The Yellow Jackets are 10-1. Dutch Fork blew out an improving Bowling Springs team last week, 56-7. TL Hanna rolled over Fort Mill, 53-9. The Silver Foxes averaging 33 on offense, 16 on defense. TL Hanna averaging 44 on offense, 21 on defense. Like I mentioned, Dutch Fork beat the Yellow Jackets in 2018 and 2020 in the state title games there. The Yellow Jackets want some revenge, John. They get them at home this time instead of down in Columbia. Can that triple option offense for Coach Tom get it done, or does Tom Knotts have those guys rolling too much right now?
I think Tom Knotts is going to have these guys ready. We know it's a tough offense to prepare for the Yellow Jackets, keeping that ball on the ground, running that option-style offense. But this Dutch Fork team, that kind of stuff will work really, really well against a team that's not disciplined. Get a little bit ahead of themselves, you could say. That's not going to happen with this Dutch Fork team, especially the deep. We talked about this Dutch Fork team, not quite the team that they have had last few years. However, the defense is still as good as it's been during their incredible run. That defense really, I don't know, that's dropped off at all. And that defense, I think they're going to be ready. I think TL Hanna is going to have a hard time getting inside the red zone and scoring on this Dutch Fork team. I think Dutch Fork's going to be able to do enough to win this football game. Well,
here's the thing. You mentioned it, John. That Dutch Fork defense has been there all year long, even in games they lost. Like, the White Knoll game, they lost 17-14. They lost to Spartanburg. I think they gave up like maybe 20 or 19, but one of those was like a fumble return for a touchdown. So it wasn't even, an actual offensive score. But now they're playing on offense as well. John Hunt got hurt game 1 for them, was out for quite a while, lost a lot of ball games. He came back. He's finally starting to kind of get a feel for it there. Last week, 8 for 11, 201, and 3 touchdowns against Bowling Springs. Running back Maurice Anderson, 2 touchdowns. Jacob Hamilton had a touchdown catch and a punt return touchdown for them. Trenton Lodge is a weapon as well on offense. Defense led by Tyler Jones, Terrence Wells, Deion Winsley, and Raleigh Salters. Hunt being able to throw the ball adds a totally different dimension to what they're doing. When they were playing Ethan Offing, they couldn't really get anything going there at the quarterback spot. Having a weapon now, because Jacob Hamilton can play. He's a good player outside. Somebody to get him the ball is a huge plus for the Silver Foxes. TL Hanna, running back Katie Patterson, had 6 touchdowns in a game earlier this year. He's been a player of the week. He's done a great job this year. Phenomenal there for Coach Tone. Bashawn Burton, Wills Epps, Triggerman Eli Hollinger, Dalen Williams on defense is playing great. They're a team that I feel like every year, John, in 5A, kind of goes under the radar. Because I guess it's the offensive play. They're not flashy and just people don't talk about them enough, but they're always there. I feel like in round 2, round 3, upper state, lower state, rounds as well. But I think Dutch Fork with Tom Knotts is going to be too much. If you've watched his interviews the last few weeks, practice stuff or post-game stuff, pre stuff, whatever, you can tell that he knows they've got a pretty good football team right now. He's got a little different confidence to his voice, a little bit different feel to when he's talking to the reporters. I think he knows they're rolling. Will this be an easy game? Certainly not. But I like Dutch Fork because that defense has been lights out, and I think John Hunt does just enough. I'm thinking 31-24-ish. Silver Foxes here in this one on the road.
Yeah, I agree. I think Teal Hanna is a very good team, but Dutch Fork is playing their best football of the season right now. And they have got, as far as head coach goes, it's hard pressed to say you want another guy controlling that program and getting these kids ready for this kind of game on Friday night. Hanna sneaks up on some people in the playoffs sometimes. They're not sneaking up on these guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And you do wonder how much of a, not really revenge, because, I mean, these kids didn't play on that team probably, but the fan base certainly wants to get back at Dutch Fork for losing 2 state title games there to them. The problem is I think that Teal Hanna teams back then were probably better than this Teal Hanna team. You don't have a Zach Pickens, running the ball, playing defense for you. I like Dutch Fork close here, but that will be a fun ball game. If Dutch Fork wins this one, 5A better really watch out.
Trouble.
Because that means they are super, super legit. Drill, any comments on this ball game? Martin says, Teal Hanna ready for war this time. Dion says 38-35, Dutch Fork.
Dion, I am 100% on Dion's score predictions.
Yeah, Dutch Fork in a close one there. Tank says getting at the right time. Yep. Patrick going with Hanna at home with the wing T. I like it. Bulldog says Dutch Fork with the gap. Lena says Lena's going Teal Hanna, but never count out old Tommy. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Gabriel says glad he's back. I think that was a reference to Roger McCrae being back for South Florence. Great to have him back there for the Bruins. Lena said, yep, getting hot at the right time. Jerry says Knott's hard to beat. Yep. Exactly right, Bradley. They are rolling right now. Damien says Hanna wing T at home. Offense is different. Dillon caliber. Okay. Yeah, Patterson's a stud, man. He can certainly get it done. Could have a big game. They will need a big game for him for sure. I love that, Jeffrey. Bradley wants a Dutch Fork Gaffney rematch. Certainly could be in the cards here in a couple weeks. Tank says Dutch Fork 24-10. Lane says Dutch Fork by 3. Zach says the game gets the winner of Burns Hillcrest. I've got it right here. The winner of this one will get the winner of Clover Gaffney next week, actually. So it'll be fun to see how that one shakes out as well. Dutch Fork does have Jalen Howard or Jarvis Squeen. They certainly don't. That will be a fun matchup. Like we said, the offense doesn't have the playmaker they used to have, like one of those guys, but they are getting better. And I think their defense might be better this year than in the years past, but will be a fun matchup over in Anderson.
Going back to that comment.
Yep. Roger McCrae back for South Florence. That is huge. Broke his tibia early in the year. We thought he was done for the year. He's back now. Gives another weapon to the Bruins. They've been doing a lot with Cyril Livingston in the kind of out of the Wildcat lately. Great to have another option there. Great to see Roderick back for this playoff run. That's awesome.
And the guy
Gilbert.
Yep. Man, he's awesome too. He's a hammer back there. Having a third guy, that's bad news for us for 4A.
And before we move on,
Courtney, hey, good to have you in here as always. BHP got a tough one this week. I think they will win again. We'll get it out here in the 3A matchups in just a second. Anything else, Drell, from this one?
That's it. Let's keep rolling, guys.
Perfect. Our next CONA game league, our SCISA game of the week. Hilton Head Christian at 9-2, traveling to Pinewood Prep at 8-3. Hard pressed to find 2 hotter teams in the state, John. Hilton Head Christian has won 9 in a row. Pinewood Prep has won 8 in a row for Coach Holloman there. Hilton Head Christian 42-7 over PD last week. 34 on offense, 13 on defense for the season. Pinewood Prep 49-7 over First Baptist, 41 on offense, 21 on defense. Hilton Head Christian led by quarterback Dylan Clark, a multi-year starter last week, 10 for 16, 171, 4 touchdowns passing, 91 yards rushing, and 2 more touchdowns. Running back James Crosby, receiver Tyshawn Marshall had 2 touchdowns. Defensively led by Zane Wilson, Jackson Conrad at a defensive line, and then Anderson and Reese. Pinewood Prep quarterback Asa Wyndham. Freshman running back Grayson Salago is a really good player for them. Some good weapons out wide with Burnett, Starworth, Bellish, and Dandridge. Linebacker core is legit with Corley Watson there. This is I think it might be the title game in 3A for SCISA this week here, honestly, John. Like I said, you can't find a team that's won 9 in a row and 8 in a row play each other very often. So who do you like here between Hilton Head Christian and Pinewood Prep?
Hilton Head being at home is big, but gosh, I just can't go. Seeing what Coach Holloman has done at the 4A level at South Point, I just believe in them. I believe in them. And, I was a big backer of Pinewood Prep going into the season. They started off pretty slow. Now they got it figured out. I don't know what it was that they had to correct or get right, but boy, they've done it.
Yep.
And they did it pretty quick. So they've won 8 in a row now. I got to go with Pinewood Prep. I think Coach Holloman, I think, is going to really have those boys ready to go. And I agree. If they win, really, whoever wins this game, it's going to be hard to go against them to not win the state title.
For sure. I think it's going to be a really fun matchup when Hilton Christian has the ball against Pinewood's defense. You know, Pinewood's front seven, the box is really good for them with that linebacker core, and they play a lot of really good man coverage on the back end. And with Hilton Christian's playmakers and the way that they can really break a big one at any time, it'll be fun to see how that matchup works out between those two squads. But I like Pinewood at home as well. I think Wyndham and Salago too much there in the backfield. I think the Panthers and Coach Holloman. Sorry, Coach Holloman get the win there. Will be a fun game. Drew, any comments on our SCISA game of the week here?
Oh yeah, we definitely got some comments here as well.
Texas Hilton Christian with this one, okay. Landon says whoever wins this win it all in 3. I think so too. I think Wilson Hall and Florence Christian on the other side. We'll see how that works out. Wilson Hall's getting a lot better lately. Derek says Hilton Christian by 10. Bro says Hilton Christian by 7. I believe it's in Pinewood, I think, actually. Okay. Dion says Pinewood by 21 to 14. Excuse me. Tank says, yep, winner takes all. Landon says HHC and a nail biter. Dexter says HHC as well. Tyler says he thinks JDA Richmond should be game of the week. That was one we looked at for sure. That's the game that we'll get to in the SCISA section here in a minute, but that's a really big 8-man game as well. Petra's going with Pinewood Prep, Coach Holloman there, and the boys.
That's the last comment, guys.
Perfect. So once again, our 5 CONA games of the week. We had Fort Dorchester at White Knoll, Camden at Dillon, Hartsville at James Island, Dutch Fork at TL Hanna, and then Hilton Christian at Pinewood Prep. If you guys are just tuning in, if you missed one of those games, when the show's over, you can go back and check it out and listen to our thoughts on all those big ball games. But John, obviously the whole statewide is going to be big, so we'll get to that here in a second. But Drell, let's give a quick shout out to our friends of the program before we move on.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
John, let's take a look now at the 5A bracket. Look at those ball games. And as always, guys, if you have a question or thought about a team, feel free to throw it in the chat here, and we'll get to it. But let's look at the 5A matchups here, John.
Yeah, we'll start in the lower state. We've got White Knoll against Fort Dorchester, Stratford against Sumter.
Surprise of the week there was that Sumter win, probably. I think we were all kind of leaning Ashley Ridge, and the Gamecocks just blew those guys out. 5 picks from the Gamecock defense there against a really good pass rush from Ashley Ridge. The Gamecocks, I think they win again over Stratford. That run game is too tough. Defensive line's really tough. Defensive secondary's playing better. I think Sumter wins this ball game.
I think so, too. If they keep it rolling, keep that momentum from last week, that would be very scary for the rest of Lower State. We've got Somerville hosting Berkeley.
A rematch from earlier in the year. The Green Wave won that one pretty handily. Berkeley getting better and better under Coach Lodge. Actually going to go undefeated at home this year. Won all their home regular season games, won their home playoff game. Awesome to see there. Are they ready to beat Somerville? We'll see. You know, if you're the Stags, that's the level you want to get to. So, hey, why not? Let's play them. I think you got to lean Green Wave here, though.
Yeah, I think Somerville was not as strong last week as I thought they would be. But, hey, first-round playoff game, you know you're a lot better than your opponent. That can happen. We'll have Carolina Forest against West Ashley. That's a Carolina Forest team that we know will be around or typically is around late in the playoffs. In the upper state, we'll have TL Hanna hosting Dutch Fork. Where that game is going to play Clover Gaffney. That game will be at Clover.
You know, Clover has won 9 in a row. Lost the first 2 weeks. They've won every game since then, doing a great job for Coach Woolbright. Jalon Hoover is a great player there for them. Landon Stone also is getting it done for them in the backfield. The problem with Clover, John, and it's not their fault, but their schedule in their region is not the toughest. So if you look at their record, who they've beaten is not super impressive, which worries you a little bit. Obviously, Gaffney, nice win last week over Lexington. You know, the offense really showed up after having a bad week against Spurns the week prior. Staten and those guys are hopefully getting it figured out. This is a tough one for me because I've been high on Clover all year, but I think Gaffney, a little too much firepower. I think they win this game. I think the Indians sneak out a nail biter on the road.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be a little bit closer than a lot of people think. I think Gaffney wins the game, maybe about 7 to 10 points, but I think it's going to be a pretty competitive ball game. Then we've got Spartanburg will be hosting JL Man.
Spartanburg, big upset last week by seeding over Rock Hill, you would say there, but that was really a non-competitive game. I was excited to see the Vikings offense get the points on the board finally. They've been struggling with that for all year long. JL Man, we know they can score. The Spartanburg defense, JL Man offense will be a really fun matchup there. I'm going to take the Patriots at home. Is that a smart pick? I don't know, but I'm going to go with JL Man at home for Coach Watson getting a win there.
I'm going to roll with Spartanburg. I'm going to trust that they roll that momentum into round 2. Again, this is another great matchup. We got a good offense and a really good defense. At offensive performance, though, by the Vikes last week has me believing in them. And round 2, I like Spartanburg in this game. And then at the bottom of the bracket, we've got Burns hosting Hillcrest. This is going to be an awesome ball game here. This is a game at the beginning of the year you could have told me would be for the Upper State Championship, and I'd believe you. This is going to be a whale of a game. Whoever wins this one's going to be really pointing in the right direction.
A rematch, John, of the playoff game we saw in round 1 last year. Burns won by 3 late in that one. Hillcrest missed a field goal to tie it late in the ball game there. Hillcrest is a team that's been kind of hard to figure out for me. It felt like, the offense struggled early in the year at times. They kind of got that figured out, I felt like. But then Caleb Sutton, the quarterback, gets hurt. So what do they do last week? The running back, Thomas Stanley, sets the Rams' single-game rushing record with 240-something yards. And obviously we know what they can do with Avery McFadden out wide. So they got playmakers. I would like Sutton to be back this week. I don't know if he is or not. That really changes the game there for the Rams. The defense has been pretty good all year. Gave us some points last week, kind of surprised me, but love what they're doing there with Tyson Moses. Henderson as well gets after it for sure. Burns, on the other hand, is playing their best football of the year, I feel like. Coming off that bye week a couple weeks back, they beat Gaffney pretty handily, handled Dorman last week. They're healthy now, it feels like. Andrew Stevens playing great. We know about Bomar and Weaver outside. We know what Segura can do defensively. Obviously, Weaver and Bomar playing the defensive back end for them. Then RJ Livingston, Chris Foster, James Oates, those guys getting it done. It's hard for me to see a way for Hillcrest to win this game without Sutton. And that's no knock against the Rams. Just Burns is playing that good. I'm going to go with the Rebels at home here because I think the way they played last week's really, really impressed me.
Yeah, and really those last few games, we've known they've been a really good team all year long.
Yeah.
It was just they were having trouble putting a 4-quarter game together.
Yeah.
Now they're doing that.
Yep.
So I like Burns at home. I think they're going to be for me, I think they're going to be really, really hard to beat for me buying the upstate.
I tell you though, if you want to see some athletes on the outside, this is the game with Avery McFadden, Armani Weaver, Kamarius Bomar. I mean, speed, agility, that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And the injury is at the worst time there for Sutton, because it felt like early in the year he was kind of figuring his way out, couldn't really get a feel for that offense with the Rams and Coach Swigert. The last couple of games he played really well and then gets hurt 2 weeks ago, out last week as well. Interesting to see what happens here with the Rams, but I think Burns wins this ball game over at Nixon Field.
I think so too.
Drill, any 5A comments before we look down at the 4A game?
Just a couple.
Back, yeah, tough game last year. You felt like Hillcrest had every chance to win it with the big comeback. Couldn't quite make it happen there. Dexter says he's going with the green wave. Landon says green wave all day. Chris says, unfortunately, Slicker Stags will go down. Yeah, hey, they got a big win for him last week, Chris. 2 might be too much to ask for. We'll see. Ryan says he's way off his Jacksonville versus Sumter. Yeah, we were all off on that one, man. I think the Gamecocks.
Me 3.
Yeah, I think we were all off on that one, Drill. Dion says 21-17 Clover over Gaffney.
Ooh.
Landon says, let's go Clover. Shay says Spartanburg beat JL Man. I think they certainly have a good chance. Chris says Clover hasn't really been challenged. Yeah, that's my worry, with their schedule. Early that they played Northwestern but got beat pretty bad, but after that hadn't had a lot happen. Patrick thinks that game will be close. Landon's going with Clover. Chris says Gaffney by 17-21. Okay. Bulldog Brooks says Gaffney by 2 scores. Tank says he agrees Gaffney close. Dion says JLM by 14. That would be a nice win for Coach Watson there. Jeffrey's going with the Berg in that one.
Just for Patrick.
Landon says boo Gaffney. Okay. Patrick Burns, Hillcrest is tough. Yeah, I think so too. They're at full strength for sure, but I think the Rebels have a little bit of an edge now.
Yeah.
Tyler says JL Man. Bulldog says Burns by 10. Chris says Spartanburg by 14.
Sorry, I'm getting overloaded with comments. Got more coming through.
Dion says if Sutton plays Hillcrest by 3, if not Burns by 17. Yeah, I think he does make a big difference there. Dame says Hillcrest might surprise everyone ahead of a 5A sleeper. Yeah, we did too. We were high on Hillcrest all year long, but the injuries you don't know. Chris says Burns by 17.
And they can play some defense.
Patrick says he hopes Hillcrest knocks them off. Love it. Lena says if Burns wins, they're going to state.
No Rob.
Zach says no more Rob Brown if Burns loses.
Oh, no.
You can only tune in to Rob Brown on the Fan Upstate, 6 a.m. to 10 every morning. John Prediction says Burns 49-3. Jeffrey says AR game was a shocker. Yeah, I think it caught us all off guard for sure there, Jeff. Dutch Fork 17-10 per JP.
I believe that.
Gaffney big in his predictions as well.
All right, I think people are clamoring for 4A now. So
looking down at the 4A ranks now, John, we got some big matchups in that classification as well.
Yeah, we'll start. We'll go upper state to start there here. We'll have Greer actually hosting Greenville in this second round matchup.
You know, Greer team that it's hard to say. May have caught a break in some officiating last week on a last second roughing the kicker call. I'm not a ref. I don't know. It looked suspect to me. But hey, it got called. The kid made the kick. Greer moves on. Hats off to them. Greenville, big win over South Aiken last week. Smoked them. I think Greenville, a little too much talent right now. I think they win this ball game, even though it's at Dooley. Drew also got a comment still stuck up here. Joe's going to take that down, give us some more space as well. It'll be great.
Then we've got Greenwood will be playing Northwestern.
Greenwood.
Nice win by Greenwood last week.
Big surprise. When we saw Greenwood North Augusta play early in the year, it was a 49-40 game. Last week, I think it ends up being 19-18,
17-16.
17-16, yeah, for the Eagles there. With their backup quarterback, Punkin Chamberlain as well. But Northwestern is just too tough, man. I don't know when they're going to get tested. I don't think it's this round. The Trojans with Turbo Richard, Finley Polk, Burris, all those guys, Knox. I mean, the offense is so good. The defense is loaded as well with Gordon Miles and Massey and those guys on that side of the ball. Northwestern, I think, rolls again at D3 this week.
Yeah, I don't think this game will be super close, but hats off to Greenwood for getting here.
Big season for Greenwood, a team that we were worried about. We're like, hey, they might not make the playoffs this year going into the season. They played great for Coach Liner, had some nice wins in there for sure.
Then we'll have Westside against York. Nice win for York last week on the road.
I think that region, won every game except for the Indian Land game, which had a really good chance to win. That includes a 1-9 team that we'll get to in a minute. They won as well. That Northwestern region there that includes York and South Point. Those guys can play great football. A big win there for them out of Region 3. I think Westside, though, a little too much with Cutter Woods. I like the Rams to win this one.
Yeah, I think so. They got to play well. But I think Westside's a little bit better in this matchup. And then this is a really, really big game here at the bottom of the bracket for Upper State. South Point against Midland Valley.
Yep.
Midland Valley had a little adversity last week. Close game against Easley. Didn't expect that. South Point rolled. South Point's got the talent to win this game. I think the best player on the field is still Dunbar. Even with all that talent at South Point, I like Midland Valley for the Dunbar factor. And they're at home. Or they should be at home.
They are.
I like Midland Valley in this game, but this is going to be South Point wins this game. I'm not going to be surprised one bit.
And I think you mentioned it, John. I think that Midland Valley North Augusta game 2 weeks ago took a lot out of both teams. We saw how North Augusta, they fell to Greenwood. Midland Valley struggled with Easley for a while there. South Point, they rolled pretty easily in their matchup last week. But Midland Valley continues to just surprise people each and every week, I feel like. Nobody expected them to win their region. Nobody expected them to be 10-0, 11-0 now. I mean, this came out of nowhere for Coach Chapman's squad. They keep proving folks wrong. I think they've got a real shot to win this ballgame. I think they are going to win this ballgame. Love the O-line. They're big and physical up front. The running game with Dunbar and Sutton. Sorry, not Sutton. Butler, excuse me. With Dunbar and Butler and those guys is really tough. Defensively playing well up front, kind of sitting back and, waiting for you to make a mistake. And that's where I think the discipline, of South Point may be an issue there.
Yes.
Can you sit back and just run the ball? Because I've seen South Point play. You've seen them play. They've got a really good run game. Pickett Hicks and Aiden Turner can really get it done. And I like the quarterback Marshall as well. I think the problem for them might be receiver. I felt like they had a problem against Northwestern really having guys get open almost.
So
I think if you're South Point, you want to do what Midland Valley's doing, which is just run the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Will they do it? I don't know. I like Midland Valley at home. I think Dunbar has a big game again. I think the Mustangs move on.
I completely agree. I think I question Marshall, right? South Point.
Malachi Marshall.
I question his accuracy downfield. I think South Point, pound the ball and just simplify the passing game.
Yeah.
You got guys that can make plays once they got the ball in their hands. I don't think there's any reason to run anything more than 5 to 10 yards.
Yep.
You get the ball in their hands, let them make plays. Whether they do that or not, whether they can not get penalized a ton, that's a different story. I like Midland Valley in this game by a bit. If South Point comes out, though, and they eliminate those kind of errors, they could certainly win this ball game.
Certainly another game where one team has been there a lot in South Point, and they expect to win these games. Midland Valley, kind of the new kid on the block, maybe you would say.
Yeah.
But they've been the new kid on the block all year long. I think the Mustangs win again.
Going over to the lower state, we have South Florence playing Richland Northeast. I think we know which way this one's going to go.
I'm excited to see that Richland Northeast run game. They had, I think, 997 yards of offense last week, over 700 on the ground between Willingham and Wilson. Just put it on Bluffton, scoring, 88 points, I think it was, John?
It's incredible.
Unreal. South Florence are going to hold them under 1,000 yards of offense. I can guarantee you that. I think the Bruins win this one. Can Richland Northeast get something going on offense? That'll be fun to see if they can. Also interested to see, McCray back for the Bruins. It'll be fun to watch. And I want to see what their plan is with Cyree Livingston. Is that kind of something they're going to go with a lot of the Wildcat with him or pound the ball a lot? Or going to go back to throwing a little bit more? We'll see. I think the Bruins win here, but I'm more interested to just see, some stat lines and get some thoughts from that game after just kind of see what the Bruins really did.
Yeah, and I think it'll be impressive to see what kind of offense R&E can do against a really, really good South Florence defense. We could see some points in this ball game from both sides. We'll have Lancaster with a big upset last week. Lancaster will be playing Lucy Beckham. This now, pretty big ball game. I like Lucy Beckham, but Lancaster was very, very impressive last week. Looks like they have a good attitude and a good just understanding of what they need to do.
Yeah, Coach Surratt, man, hats off to him. This is a team that was 1-9 going into last week. But, John, I feel like you and I and Jarrell had talked about them a lot, either on our preview show or our spaces or whatever. We thought they were getting better. Like, they were in a lot of games, playing a lot of teams close. I think they played South Point to less than a score, York to less than a score, Indiana less than a score. Like, they were losing these games, but they were right in them. Last week, they came out, they put the hammer down on Ridgeview. Like, really, Ridgeview was not in that ball game. And that was a team we thought could make a little bit of a run.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know how far they can go because, it's hard to think a 1-9 team could go deep in the playoffs. But, man, the way they played last week, they can beat almost anybody. Lucy Beckham, a team, they really flexed last week, had a nice win over West Florence, a team that is not as good as last year's squad, but still a great win over a Coach Jennerette team. I think the Bengals win this one, but, man, even if Lancaster loses this week, hats off to them, and I love what Coach Surratt's doing there. I think this is a successful season already for the Bruins.
Yeah, just from last week alone.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a really, really close ball game, too. Now, this is a very interesting second-round matchup. We got Irmo against Myrtle Beach, a Myrtle Beach team that's come alive in region play against Irmo team that woke up alive to start the season. This is a really, really good Yellow Jacket team, one of my favorite in 4A, really one of everyone's favorites in 4A. This is going to be a good game. I think Myrtle Beach is playing great football right now.
Yep.
Do you think it can be competitive? I think it can be competitive. I still think Irmo's going to win the game, though.
Yeah, I think you got to lean Yellow Jackets here. I do love to see that Gibson Goodrow is back from Myrtle Beach. He got knocked out of the South Florence game a few weeks back. Was back last week in that big win that they had. So glad to have him back in action for the Seahawks there in that big win for May River. Love Malachi Washington, the running back. Everybody knows that. I'm a big fan of his there for Myrtle Beach. But Irmo with A.J. Brand, J. Allen Hendricks, Donovan Murph out wide, playing too tough right now. I think they're too big, too physical, I think they win this ball game. I do think Myrtle Beach can hang around and keep it competitive. I think the Yellow Jackets at home, they're a little too much.
Yeah.
Also, congrats to head coach Aaron Brand, 100th career victory last week. So awesome to see that for him.
And then rounding out 4A, one of our CONA games of the week, James Island hosting Hartsville. That'll be another awesome matchup there.
For sure, Drell. How many 4A comments we got to roll through here before we're looking down to 3A?
Just 2 or 3, so it shouldn't take too long, guys.
A lot of Northwestern from Landon there. Dion says Greenville by a point.
Ooh.
Okay. Tank says he likes Greenville big.
I shouldn't put this up, but I'm going to because I like Bulldog.
Big win, so they can chicks. They got the talent, Bulldog. They got the talent, man. Landon says Greenville with the win. Jeffrey says LeBron call. I love it. JP says Greenville big.
Let's see.
Bulldog Brooks says Hunt lost to a backup. Yeah, Pumpkin Chamberlain, the back quarterback, took that win there for Greenwood. Northwestern Big says Lane also shouting out Chamberlain. Yep. Tank says West Side in that one. Dion says Midland Valley 28-17.
Got a question for you guys. Love this one.
Landon says, who's better, Finley Polk or Cutter Woods? I'll tell you right now, I'm going to go with Cutter Woods. That's because I think it's tough to say because Finley Polk's not asked to do as much. They got a little bit of a run game. They run a little bit more. But Cutter can sling it, man. I think he throws a little bit more. I think he's asked to do more. I'm going to lean him right now. I think both are very good. I'm really excited to see Finley Polk next year, especially with Turbo gone, when he gets to throw a little bit more. I think right now it's Cutter Woods, but I think both have potential to be college football quarterbacks for sure. Tank says South Point defense is going to win it for them.
That's a really good defensive line.
Dion says Dunbar and McNair too much. Yep, those guys can get it done. Progressive Middle will fall, if not this week, next week. Certainly could happen. Lynn says Trey can only take him so far. Bradley says he's sorry. It's going to be Northwestern and South Florence in state. Could see a rematch for sure.
Other people want to see that.
This is Midland Valley exposed last week. Yeah, that game is, caught me off guard too because he easily had a chance to tie it up a lot and could not get it done there. But we'll see. Tank says Lightning strikes twice next year with an upset. Okay, I love it.
I can see it happen.
Dion says South Florence by 31. Tank says South Florence can't start slow. Yeah, for sure. Because if you let our RNE team get a lead on you and they can pound it, that could spell
they got
trouble.
Half-hour offense. They certainly could.
Lancaster will beat them per Daydream. Don't let their record fool you. Rhonda says South Point Stallions. They're playing great football right now. Jamonte says Hartsville by 21.
We got a lot of big scores with Irmo over winning by a lot. So we'll just move on to 3A after that.
Perfect. Let's look down at the 3A ranks now, John. We've already talked about that Camden Dillon game, one of our CONA games, so you can go back and check that out at the beginning of the show. But let's look at the rest of the 3A matchups here for round 2.
Yeah, so that Dillon Camden game, that's at the top of the lower state bracket. The winner of that game is going to play the winner of Hanna Gilbert. Gilbert, a 2 seed on the road. They're the better team, though, in this matchup. This
is a fun game here. Gilbert was up 14-12. So Darnton was kind of hanging around, and Gilbert kind of put the smack down late in that one. Hanna is a team that I think is still kind of getting overlooked a little bit just because we didn't expect them to be here. They struggled early on in the year in the non-conference. They played really well in the region, obviously, and ran the table, had a big win over Ainer last week. John, we saw Gilbert. I like Drake Braddock a lot. I like how multiple they are formation-wise and whatnot on offense. I do worry about the explosiveness a little bit. Yep. I feel like they didn't really have that big playmaker, it felt like almost, While Hanna, I love what they're doing with Kayvon Rivera. He's a stud running the ball. He could easily go for 150, 200 each and every week. He's a battering ram back there. The defense is playing better for them. The quarterback is really getting his feet underneath him, it feels like. Hanna at home, too, I think is going to be a tough out for Gilbert. I think the Hawks at home could pull this one off.
They could. I trust Coach Leapart in this game. That we saw them play Saluda, and I think Saluda, I don't think the talent gap was very far at all in that ball game. And we just saw the gameplay of Gilbert, especially offensively. They hit some. There's a couple wheel routes that they hit, and it wasn't a difficult throw. It wasn't a difficult route. It's just something that they saw. They saw it on film prior, or they saw it in the first half, and they came out in that second half and said, "Hey, here's something we can attack." And they made it easy for their kids to make plays and win the game. I trust that staff in this ball game.
I tell you what, the biggest thing though that Hanna has going for them, they don't have to play at Gilbert.
Yeah,
this game is at Hanna. That's a big. I mean, Gilbert's home field advantage has got to be worth what, 7 at least. At least.
Yeah, I won't argue that.
Big for Hanna playing at home there.
So going back down, we've got Philip Simmons, another very good 2 seed, going on the road to play Brooklyn Casey. A Brooklyn Casey team, boy, if ESPN covered high school football, Brooklyn Casey would be their favorite team right now. They've got a lot going on for them the last couple of weeks. But this Philip Simmons team, I know, they did not look good a couple weeks ago.
It's Hanahan, yeah.
Big game against Hanahan. I like Philip Simmons in this ball game. I think they're still a little bit better team. I know Brooklyn Casey's kind of the flavor of the month. I can't say weeks. They've had 2 good games in a row, but I like Philip Simmons in this ball game.
Brooklyn Casey playing at home, great atmosphere there, of course. I like Will Young, the kind of receiver, wildcat quarterback, whatever you want to call him. Maybe the best athlete on the field, probably. He's really good there for Coach Sharpie. I love what they're doing there. Philip Simmons, the 2-headed monster there with Asbury and Richardson running the ball. Tough to stop for Coach Bendig there. Also, a plug, we're going to have an interview with Coach Eric Bendig coming out probably Thursday night previewing this game. Also, the whole season there for the Iron Horses. Definitely check that out on our Facebook and YouTube pages, podcast as well. So definitely check that out. But I think BC at home, John, tough atmosphere there. It's not the cage anymore, but it's, whatever you call it, the new cage, whatever. Love what Will Young brings to that program with Coach Sharpie. I think they got a chance to win this one at home.
They certainly do, and they're playing hot.
Yep.
And then to close out Lower State, we'll have Beaufort going on the road to play Crestwood, a Crestwood team that is as good as anybody, especially in Lower State.
A rematch of, was that round 1 or round 2 last year, John? We saw those 2 get after it. In Crestwood,
I think that was round 2.
And Crestwood had a lead, and Beaufort fought back to win it. I think Beaufort's run ends this week. Love Javion Martin, man. He's the best player on the field. I feel like no matter what game it is, along with him, Zarian Yates is playing great running the ball. Seneca Moore as well for them is a stud. The defense has played great for Coach Nelson there. Beaufort, though, big win last week. Jaden Andrews, 4 touchdowns for them against Loris. Love to see that. They know how to win football games in the playoffs, but I think this Crestwood team is a different team. I think they're built for a deep playoff run. I like the Knights at home.
I do too. The weapons that this Crestwood team has is hard to control. Flipping over to the Upper State, we'll have Daniel hosting Wren. This is, in my opinion, this is going to be Daniel's toughest game to date. This Wren team can play some football. They can play some good defense. I think Daniel wins the game, but I think this is a good measuring checkpoint for Daniel. And I tell you what, it's not signed, sealed, delivered win either. They got to play.
Yeah, Wren really can get it done on the ground with Colton Bagwell there and the running back, Reese Price. I believe his last name's Price, if I'm mistaken. Sorry about that. I know his first name's Reese for sure. They can get it done on the ground. Throwing the ball, a little bit of an issue for them. They don't do a lot of that right now for Coach Freight. But, we said it all year long. They're a young team. They're going to get better and better under Coach Freight. I think they're really probably a year or so away from being really, really, high-level contenders. Daniel playing great football, gave up just the 2 last week to Blue Ridge on a, kind of a safety play there. I like Daniel, man. I don't think this is going to be a tight ball game for them. Like I said, I do think it's their biggest test to date. I still like Daniel by, 21, maybe more than that. The lines are too good right now.
Yeah, I could see a 28-14, 28-7 kind of game, but a little hairier than any other game Daniel's played so far. Now, this is going to be a really, really fun game. The winner of this game will get Chapman or Chester. This game also great home atmosphere for Chapman.
Yep.
This is going to be a football game with a lot of talent on the football field. I really, really like the Cyclones. They seem to be playing a little bit better later in the year as well. Chapman's good. Chapman is just really, really good. I like the way that they have carried themselves. They beat Burns earlier in the year and then went on to win their region, a very tough region.
Beat Clinton on the way too.
Yeah,
there.
They've got
Broome. Yep.
They've got what it takes to be a team to make a deep run. I think Chester's very good, but I think the Cyclones are going to have a really hard time knocking off this Panther team in Chapman. Well, I say in Chapman, Inman at Chapman High School.
Yeah. And the Chester score a little bit deceiving there, because they won by a lot, but that game was 28 all in the third quarter. Quarterback Eli Hudgen goes out for Powdersville, kind of changes the game there for them. Chapman playing great football. We saw them firsthand a couple weeks ago. Coleman Gray at quarterback is phenomenal. He can run, he can throw it. He knows how to command that offense. Love the run game with Matthias Scott, Keanu Na. The wide receiver Sean Cunningham's a stud. Defensively, they're playing great as well. I think Chapman wins this game, and I think it's more because I don't trust the Chester offense, and I've kind of felt that way all year long. I like Trooper Floyd at quarterback. I love the physicality they have, the size they have on defense as well. But I think when they've got to score, it worries me a little bit. I think Chapman wins this game at home.
I like that as well. Moving on, we've got Belton Honeypath hosting Pendleton. Pendleton's having a great year. Electric offense. BHP is going to be too much in this ball game.
Yeah, BHP has looked really good on the ground. Last week actually had a good passing game as well for the Bears there. Pendleton, like you said, can light it up, John. Luke Gray is throwing for tons of yards. I think they'll put some points on the board against BHP because BHP's pass defense is a little bit suspect. I still think Marquise Henderson, those guys, too much firepower. The Bears roll again, but don't be surprised if we're sitting there Friday night and second quarter rolls around and we're seeing Pendleton right there. Maybe even third quarter hanging around. I think BHP too much for this ball game.
Yeah, I think fourth quarter they'll pull away. But yeah, I'm hoping we have that. We have that Friday, and then this is gonna be a good game here too to close out 3A. We'll have Clinton at home against Broome, a Broome team that's very, very good. A little bit under the radar, I feel like, as well in their own right. I think the Red Devils at home are going to be a little bit too much. Broome has had some high pressure, high intensity games lately. I don't know if they can. It's asking them a lot to bring the intensity level that I think is going to be needed to win this game on the road.
This is going to be a fun one. Jalen McGill at Broome, a heck of a running back. He's a Power 5 guy all day long. He's just a sophomore right now. Broome, really big, really physical. Kamaje Brandon, the quarterback, not the best passer of the football, but can really get it on the ground. Gives him a second kind of dimension there. Clinton has been playing great football. Their lone loss to Chapman, that was a close ball game earlier in the year. Had a bunch of injuries early on. They've kind of fought through it to Sean Richardson there, doing a great job running the show, throwing the ball more than they usually do for Clinton, but getting it done there. Caden Crawford's a great weapon outside for them. Zay Johnson's a playmaker as well for them. I think Clinton for Coach Fountain, I think they get this win. And I think it's more because I don't know if Broome can stop Clinton. I think Broome will score some points because you can't stop Jalen McGill for a full game. You just can't. But I don't know if Broome can stop the Red Devils offense.
100% agree.
Any comments on 3A, Jarrell?
No, actually, we have no comments. Just kidding. Let's go ahead and roll these out. Let me see if I can get back to the top and roll these out.
Oh, God. Crestwood looks great. Yes, they are certainly playing good football right now.
Very good.
Landon says Crestwood by 2 or 3 scores. BC by 10 per Dion. I like it.
Rolling.
Sorry.
All good. Gilbert by 2 tutties per tank. So we got a lot of different opinions on this Gilbert Hanahan game and the Phillip Simmons game as well. Denver's Camden sees an upset. Certainly could happen. We broke that down on our games of the week there. I think we both leaning Dillon. Travis says when the ones play for Daniel, balanced offense, stingy D is hard to handle. Yeah, I think so. I think it will be their biggest challenge to date. Still don't think it's a close ball game. I think the lines roll there. Tank says BCD at Lower State. Certainly could, man. They're playing great football right now, a team that kind of got overlooked. Yep, Mike Hagan's a great broadcaster. Good point there for Landon. He does a great job on that side of it. Dion says Daniel big. Chapman in a close one per RJ.
Come out of game.
Landon said Daniel should run the table. Kendrick says big Chapman by 14. Nathan says Daniel is probably the best run defense in the state. Yeah, that's going to play a big part for sure. Tank says Chapman Chester was a toss-up. Chapman by 3 per Dion. Kendrick says big Chapman. I love it. They're playing great football right now. Sean Cunningham, Chapman's a dog. Exactly right, Landon. He can play right now. I know he had a little bit twisted ankle a couple weeks ago. I think he's back now, full health. Clinton by 3 per JP. Courtney says, yes, sir. BHP winning 70-7. I don't know if it'll be that bad. I think Landon Gray or Luke Gray and the guys score some points. We shall see. Damon says BHP should roll. Run game too strong. Yeah, Corey Jones to Tajay Martin be a great matchup between those two. Clinton, the T is silent. Exactly right. He likes Broome, though. Okay, Tank, I hear you. Dion says BHP by 24.
Sorry, comments just reset again.
Love it. McGill is tough. Yes, he is. Certainly. We've got a lot of good backs in the state right now, and he is certainly one of them. Clinton by 7, says Dion. If Brett Young was taller, best. Yeah, he makes a ton of time. I think he had 10 tackles last week. One of our player performers, you'll see it on our blog there. He did a great job. Yep, Nathan, exactly. I think they're too small in the lines to put up some numbers. I think you're exactly right, Nathan. I agree with you there. Zach says, keep in mind they had 7 starters out in that game.
Ooh.
Yep. Good point there, Zach. Boss says Clinton for the win. Marcus says Broome for the win. I love at this point in the season, John, you get guys really going both sides, man. Yeah, they're all almost toss-ups now. Fair. Ryan says Knights by 2 TDs. Yep, round 2, 45-42. Okay. And they had a really good chance to win that ball game.
I'm going to call it, or we're going to be here until 11 o'clock tonight. So let's go to 2A.
I love it. Looking down now at the 2A bracket, let's take a look at that. This is one class I will say I don't think has the level of games of 3 and 4 and 5A, it seems like. But you still have a couple of nice ones in there.
Yeah, maybe not this week. We'll start at the upper state. Abbeville will be hosting Newberry.
Newberry, great win last week over Saluda for Coach Jeter's squad. A young team that's getting better. Jamel House is a stud out wide for them. Abbeville, though, they're just rolling right now. We know they're going to be there, deep in the playoffs as always. Patterson and Leach and Norman and Haddon and those guys, the Panthers are going to be tough. I think they win again this week.
Yeah.
Probably not close.
I'm shocked that Saluda is booted in the first round. Winner of that game will play Silver Bluff, Fairfield Central winner.
That's going to be a fun one there. Fairfield Central, prolific offense with Millen and Greer and those guys. Silver Bluff has as much talent in the front four, the front seven, as anybody in the state with Jaden Fuller, Jaden Neeson, and Jordan Boyd. They can get it flat out, get it done there. Can they score is their issue. The quarterback's been a little bit of an issue for them lately. They got Peoples running the ball, Grant out wide. Fairfield Central is still kind of an unknown for me. You saw them play Andrew Jackson, John. It's hard for me to get a feel for how good they are. I think if Silver Bluff can get some good quarterback play, they can win this game. Will they get that? I don't know. I'm going to go with the Griffins at home.
I like, and I have not seen Silver Bluff play this year. Fairfield Central, super athletic, very, very good in the secondary as well. McMillan is a great quarterback to have as well. They do a good job running the football. But the Silver Bluff teams I've seen in the past, and they just always seem to be big and physical.
Yeah, well, they got some size.
And that, I think that could give the Griffins some trouble. I want to pick Silver Bluff in this ball game. Dropping down, we got a team where this is not a hard decision for me in this one. Strom Thurmond hosting Keenan. Keenan, a great win last week over 96. I was surprised by that.
Yes.
Strom Thurmond is they're a different level. I think the Raiders, great win last week as a 4 seed to win a playoff game, but I don't think they had the same good fortune this week.
The Rebels are playing great. I think I saw Quan Edmond has maybe 1 interception on the season. I mean, that's awesome. Braylon Staley getting it done. Pooty Barnes are running the ball. They've got a really talented offense, and I like what Coach Webb does, kind of formation-wise and shift-wise and whatnot. Really tough to game plan for. The defense is playing great too. I think the Rebels are rolling this one. Can't wait for next week in 2A, but I think the Rebels roll over Keenan. Even though, like you said, John, huge win for Keenan last week.
Yeah.
A 96 team that had been playing great football for Coach Bennett there. Keenan got it done. That's super impressive for the Raiders there, but I think Strom Thurmond too much this week.
Yeah, and good season for 96 as well. I know it ended not the way they wanted to. And then closing out Upper State, we'll have Gray hosting Chesney. Chesney, a good upset last week, but I think it's the end of the road or end of their season Friday against Gray. Gray's going to be right there at the end. Well, maybe.
The War Eagles are back in state, John, and they mean business. A big win last week. And you know how much talent they've got with Montgomery and Waller and Dobson and Lockett and Alford and those guys there. I think they roll over Chesney.
Going over to the lower state, we'll have Andrew Jackson, a team that we didn't talk about a whole lot this year. A little bit underperformed compared to last year. They will host Kingstree in this second round matchup.
I think Kingstree's a team I need to look out for. Last week we were all really high on Timberland as a sleeper. Kingstree said we're the sleeper. They went and beat Timberland, on the road there. Coach Smith's got those guys playing great. Jashawn Dorsey, Brockington, a defensive line, is doing a great job there. I think they've got a real chance to win that ball game for AJ on Friday.
I think they got a great chance. I think that's going to be another game for 2A to really watch. Hampton County will host Andrews. I like Hampton County to roll in this game. Andrews, good program, but they're this year I don't think they're quite the level to pull off this upset.
Brandon Cumbie at quarterback doing a great job there for Scott Durham at Andrews, but Hampton County, man, they are so big up front, and with Zion Dobson running the ball, they are tough to stop right now. I think they win again. Interesting to see how this scoreline turns out, because that'll kind of give us a little bit of preview of, Marion beat Andrews because they're in the same region. Interesting to see. Obviously, you can't do the transitive property all the time, A and B, and all that stuff. But just want to see how that scoreline turns out against Andrews. I do think Hampton County wins, but by how much, we'll see.
I think they put it on them. Then we'll have Oceanside hosting Woodland. I think this could be a closer game than maybe Oceanside wants it to be. but Oceanside, I think, will end up fourth quarter taking over this ball game.
Woodland, the big overtime win last week against Sherrall. Oceanside, you still worry a little bit with them because still having to, replace Rodback at quarterback. Last week they played for Gilly. I think they played another guy too. They kind of switched him out there. I think the Oceanside, too much firepower. I think they win this ball game. Still want to see, if they can get that offense figured out with the quarterback spot. But I like what Coach Wilkes is doing. The Land Sharks, I think, win again.
And then big time ball game here at the bottom of the bracket to close out to a Marion hosting Barnwell. I tell you what, I think this is going to be a really, really good ball game. Tough one. It's a tough draw for Marion to get in the second round. I think the Swamp Foxes have enough talent, though, to pull this one out. But this is going to be a really, really tight game.
This was a matchup, I think, 2 years ago. Barnwell went on the road to Marion and upset them. I think maybe in the first round, if not first round, second round. So it's certainly been done before by the Warhorses. This Warhorses team not quite as good, I think. They lost a lot of talent last year. New head coach Brian Smith coming in. But they've gotten better and better as the season goes on. Cam Austin is a stud at quarterback, running and throwing. Also a heck of a baseball player, too, as well. Really good player for them. And then Jaquan Peoples. He's become a really good running threat for them, which is what they needed early in the year. It was really Austin doing it all by himself. But now he's back. Peoples is helping out. I still think Marion too much. Man, you talk about the athletes here. Quayshie Scott, Tyshawn Sanders, Gabe Cusack, all those guys. Gabe got hurt. That was 2 years ago. Gabe, right. The Wilson kid out wide for them. Richard Eady as well. The Swamp Foxes have so much talent, man. I think they're poised for a deep playoff run. If Fox fielded well, especially being at home, I think Coach Hennessy's squad gets a big win this week.
Yeah, and it will certainly be earned.
Drill, any two-way comments?
No. Again, just no more comments. No one cares.
Lana says Big A-Town. Dion says A-Town by 30. Certainly, that sounds about right. Bulldogs are storming over. Everybody can't stop the train. Kirk's is pulling for the Warhorses. Bossman says A-Town by as many as they want. Bluff by 10 per Dion. Hampton County by 17. Zion 3 touchdowns. Silverbuff wins a dogfight per Bossman.
I like that.
Dedrian likes Fairfield by 12. Landon likes Fairfield Central here. Bluff did look good down the stretch. Yeah, they did play better for sure. Corey says Andrews with the upset. That'll be a surprise for sure, Corey. Dion says Bluff got size and speed. Landon says Rebs by 98. Breaking the scoreboard down there. I love it.
They might want to save a little bit.
Rematch the second round last year. Let's get the layup lines for Keenan. Yeah, basketball practice pretty soon, probably. Throw them by as much as they want, says Bossman. Bulldogs says throw them by 30.
Let's see.
Boston says strong throwing quarterback, almost 2,100 yards passing. Yeah, Quan Edmond getting it done
there.
Solid. Hampton as many as they want. Tank says great, pick your score. Exactly right, man. The Warriors are too good. Yeah, King Street D-line. I love Brockington. A force in the middle. That D-line is really good there for the Blazers. Hampton County by 5+. Also loves the uniform. Yeah, that's a great nickname,
they
color scheme, everything there for the Hurricanes. Marion Big over Barnwell per Corey. Tank says Gabe's different smack for the Small Boxes. Yeah, I mean, he makes the whole show go. I mean, he really does. Love what he does there at the quarterback spot. Better bet your income on Strom Thurmond every week. Your boys are rolling, Brian. The Rebels are tough to beat.
That would have been a good investment.
Nigel says Marion. Kim says don't sleep on AJ. Yeah. I think they're not as good as their last year AJ squad, but when you got Trey Thompson running the ball, you can beat anybody.
Yeah.
Let's get to 1A.
Looking down at the 1A ranks now, John.
Starting in Lower State, we'll have Johnsonville hosting Lakeview. Lakeview with a big upset last week.
Yes.
I think they continue it. I think they win this one as well.
Johnsonville playing better and better. Had a couple weird losses, lost to North Central, lost to Latta by a lot, but Malik Shippey doing a great job there running the show as always. Lakeview, John, that's a huge win. I said it on the recap show. I want to say it now too because I know that you were on this bandwagon too.
Big time.
Somebody's got to apologize to us for Well Branch.
Oh.
We were told all year long how they were the this and that. They played 2 big games late in the year, go 0-2.
Well,
I mean, I'm just saying, John. I
want to give my credit to Lakeview.
I mean, that was a huge win for Lakeview. Foxworth had a big game for them. Coach King's squad is playing great. I still like this Johnsonville team, man. I love Shippey and those guys. I think Coach Cribb's team wins at home, but Lakeview is hot right now.
Yeah, they certainly. This should be either way. It should be a really good ball game. Winner of this game will play the winner of Lamar Carver's Bay. I think Lamar
playing so good football right now, man. 20-6. Let's give it Branchville. They're playing great for Coach Burris.
Bamberg Earhart hosting East Clarendon.
Bamberg playing good football as well. East Clarendon, hats off to them. I think first win since like 2010 maybe 2008 in the playoffs, something like that last week. Awesome to see for them, but I think their road ends this week. Actually, first, do I have my notes here? Do I have my notes? I don't. It doesn't matter. Anyway, East Clarendon, sorry, I like Bamberg more.
There you go. That's the note you need. And then to round out Lower State, Cross hosting Allendale Fairfax.
Yeah, I got an incorrection there. Actually, they're playing Allendale Fairfax, not Latta. Allendale Fairfax with a big win last week, upset. Allendale Fairfax, though, has played good ball this year, had the big win early in the year against Denmark Olar. Kind of fell off a little bit, came back with a big win last week. But I like the Cross Trojans. Jarrell's been highlighting them all year, playing good football. I think Cross wins again this week.
I'm going to roll Allendale Fairfax getting the upset 2 weeks in a row.
Okay.
Going over to Upper State, we'll have Christchurch hosting McBee. Blackville Hilda will be at home against Wagner Sally.
Blackville Hilda is playing good football with Holman and those guys there. Wagner Sally surprised me with that big win over C.A. Johnson last week, though. That really caught me off guard.
Shut down a really good offense last week.
And in that first matchup, Christchurch, I saw Brandon mention earlier, Deshaun Reeder is ready for the playoffs. Now, he didn't have to run the ball, I feel like, quite as much this year. I think they saved his legs a little bit. He's ready to explode in the playoffs. I think they roll in that matchup.
He's going to host Southside Christian.
Calhoun County playing good. Christian Zachary there. At Southside Christian, though, it's tough to judge. They're one region loss, obviously, to Christchurch. Put them in that 2 line there. They're still a really good football team. I think they probably win this one on the road.
I think so, too. I think this will be a really good game, but I like Southside in that one. And then to close out 1A, Louisville at home against St. Joseph's. This is going to be a major ball game for 1A. Going to be a test for Louisville. I think they pass it.
Yeah, if you're the Lions and I think anybody looking at 1A, you think that they're probably going to have to be 2, if not 3, of the private schools out of Greenville. You start that road this week. I think they win this one pretty handily. I love what Grissom and Robinson and Howes and the guys are doing there. I think they win this ball game. St. Joseph's not bad. It's the same thing with Southside Christian. Like, they lost to Southside Christian and Christchurch. Like, they beat everybody else.
Yeah.
But I think Louisville's better. I think the Lions win. But that's going to be a sneaky fun ball game as well, I think. But I do like Louisville by a few scores.
Okay.
Any comments on 1A, Jarrell?
Yeah, slowing down a little bit. So, yeah, we got a few, though. If I can get my computer to
Louisville
work.
by 21 per Dadrian. Dion says, can we just get Louisville a trophy now? Love it, love it. Dixon Trey Light with Lakeview. Yeah, we missed it last week, Derek, and we might be going the wrong way again this week. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Lane says, give me Lakeview. Lamar's battle tested per tank. Yeah, exactly right.
That's a great region.
Playing great. Shout out Lamar for giving us Corey Fountain. Hey, I think I read where he's somebody. I think Jesse told us. I think he's 2 wins away from 100 now. Combining his Lamar and Clinton wins. So awesome. See, Julie says Louisville Lions are rolling. Lower state competition is weaker. Texas Upper State 1A is tough for sure. Robert, good to have you in here, man, as always. We talked about your Dillon guys. They were one of our games of the week. To begin in the sugar, check that out after we get done here for sure. Dion says Louisville 45-7. Darren says Lakeview Bamberg. That's it.
I can see that. Are you saying out of the lower state? Yeah, I got you, Adrian.
Can you start 1A first next time? We're not going to do that, Why not? Well, yeah, remind us next week, Jarrell and John. You remind me what we'll do it. Jarrell, you're on the control, so you remind us. I'm going to put that on you.
We'll go 1A first next week.
Tanisha said, like when they can't little squad, big cross, not little one. Yeah, I think we're both taking cross this week, Tanisha. You guys are playing great football right now. I think we're liking the Trojans to win.
I'm going.
Oh, you're taking Allendale. That's right.
I'm taking Allendale.
I'm taking cross. John's taking the Tigers.
I will eat it next week because Cross did this last year too.
Big cross.
Big cross.
Not little. Love it. Love it. Love it. Let's take a look real quick at the SCISA brackets. These are the semifinals here in SCISA this week, John. A few less teams in 4A. We got Hammond and Cardinal Newman. Cardinal Newman, a team that, felt like they were getting better and better at Cortez Lane. Played Hammond fairly tight earlier this year. Couldn't quite get it done. I think the Skyhawks still too much firepower. Cortez Lane, though, is a difference maker. Had a huge, 290 total yards last week. Still think Hammond too much.
I think so, too. I think this will be a very close competitive ball game, but I think Hammond will be able to take him again. Take him down twice.
In the lower part of that bracket, Lawrence Manning will take on Porter-Gaud. Porter-Gaud, J.J. Flood is a stud there. Big winner of Bentley last week. But I like what Lawrence Manning's doing. They're playing great football right now for Coach First. Really getting it done. They've had a couple nice wins. They even beat Lake City earlier in the year. Had a tough loss to Wilson Hall, last-second field goal earlier on. But I still think the Swamp Cats get this game done.
Yeah, I like Lawrence Manning. And they've been, like you said, I think they've been really tested with their out-of-region schedule too.
3A, we mentioned our SCISA game of the week, Pinewood Prep hosting Hilton Head Christian. And then on the other side, Florence Christian at Wilson Hall. Wilson Hall is a team that, we had ranked maybe 1 or 2 in 3A for a while this year. They lost to Florence Christian a couple weeks ago. They're winning that ball game. Starting senior quarterback got hurt. Florence Christian comes back and wins that game. We were told he was out for the year. He's not out for the year, John. Dislocated elbow. He's back now. Wilson Hall's rolling. I think they avenge that loss. I think the Barons win this ball game at Florence Christian.
I agree.
Looking down at the 2A ranks, we've got Williamsburg taking on Buford. Big ball game here. The Stallions continue to roll under Coach Boyd. First-year head coach doing a great job. Camden Moore, playoff performer this week. It's on our blog as well. He had a great game for them. He's doing some awesome things there for the Stallions. Buford's a team that really kind of struggled down the stretch, John. Had a couple losses. Even one of our games of the week a couple weeks back and took an L. Not playing their best football right now, it feels like. I like Williamsburg to win again at home. And then Bethesda traveling to Northside, who pulled the big upset over Camden Prep last week. Bethesda undefeated on the year. I think they win this ball game.
I like them at home.
In the 1A ranks, Lee Academy, a massive winner of Clarendon Hall, blew those guys out last week, taking on Thomas Hayward, Coach Shuford there. Lee Academy is hard to bet against right now, the way they're playing football. They're getting it done with Deshaun Haddon and those guys. But Thomas Hayward is really good, man. They got a coach that knows how to get it done, has gotten it done before. I think Thomas Hayward wins a close one. I think it should be a really fun ball game.
I'm going to go lead with the momentum.
Coach Rankin's got those guys playing great. They were one of our games of the week last week. I think that final score was like 42-0. Like, wasn't even competitive. Shut out Clarendon Hall. So they're playing great football right now. And then a rematch of a really close game from earlier in the year, Dorchester and Patrick Henry. I think Patrick Henry gets the revenge, gets a win this time. They lost a close one earlier on in the season, but I think Patrick Henry gets the victory over Dorchester.
I'm going to go Dorchester. That's where my dad went. I'm going to a little toss-up.
Love it. Shout out to the Raiders. Coach Nelson there, who also knows how to win. He was at Holly Hill, won a lot of state titles there. He's over at Dorchester now. I still think I'm going Patrick Henry in a close one. And then in the 8-man ranks, we got Holly Hill taking on Wardlaw. Holly Hill is clearly the better football team in this one. The Raiders are going to roll. I don't think it's going to be a close game at all.
That's crazy in a semifinal matchup.
Yeah.
It's not going to be close.
Now, this other side of the bracket, I think will be close. We got Richard Wynn traveling to Jefferson Davis. I've thought these three, Richard Wynn, Jefferson Davis, Holly Hill, were the best teams in 8-man all year long. And it's going to shake out to be that way. Drew Spires, friend of the program, one of our big-time playoff performers every week, is doing a great job there for them. JDA, I was really caught off guard by that game against Holly Hill 2 weeks ago. They got beat pretty handily when I thought they were going to win. I think the Eagles can pull this one off, John. I like what Richard Wynn's doing there. I think they get this win over JDA.
I'm going to get Jefferson Davis.
Love it. Drew, any other comments we need to look at before we move on to the next part of the program?
I'm going to start with this. We don't have any SCISA-specific comments that I see so far, but I'm going to go start with Dadrian, OG supporter of Moving the Chains.
Waiting for 183 hours for I love it. Corey says all three private gangs. yeah, Dadrian, we're going to switch up, but we're going to 1A first this week for sure. We got you. Elijah, what do you think of AJ? It's going to be a tough game this week.
They're just I'm scared that they're one-dimensional offensively. Obviously, they can run the ball extremely well. But the passing game, at least early in the year against Fairfield Central, it just wasn't clicking.
Mm-hmm.
Either the ball was on the receiver could not make the play, or quarterback and receiver, weren't on the same page. If they had that corrected, okay, that's a different story. But that's what worries about me, the Volunteers this year. They're a little one-dimensional. Now, that one dimension is pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot to stop Thompson back there as well.
I think Derek's been eating too much Halloween candy.
Yeah.
Give John the key to the city. I love it. I don't know if John can finally Lakeview on the map. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Dion says Wardlaw with the upset. Kirsty, what's yours in SCISA and other? So SCISA is the private school league here, Kurt. Now there are some private school teams in the high school league, but the majority of private school teams play in SCISA, while the high school league is majority public schools. Allison, let's go Eagles. Yeah, Richard Wynn playing great football. I think they win this week, Allison, but it should be a really fun game on Friday night. I think a lot of points in that one. No comment. I think that's your pick, John, picking JDA there.
Okay. That's all right.
I don't know what John's doing there, God,
love
I
it.
guess John's not listening to the recap show where we read off, Drew's stats every week. I think that's what it is.
I love it. Well, Drew, let's give a quick shout out to our friends of the program before we look at the pick'em leaders from round one of the playoffs.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. So, Drew, don't put this on the screen yet. I want to say our Pick'em contest by Hand Engineering, we started a new playoff Pick'em last week. A lot of fun there. Hand up, we all kind of stunk. I did not do well. Drell didn't do well. John had a technical error on his side.
I don't know what happened.
But let's put up that pick 'em now, John. As you know, and Drell, as you know, in the playoffs, it gets really tough, man. But we had a couple 10s, actually 4 10s last week. Dale S, TJH, Hunter A, and BH time all at the 10 spot. A lot of 9s as well. Chase, Coach T, Tank, Kane, Nathan, Darrell, Jimmy, Shannon, Jamie, Chad, Patrick, Sherman, Jay, and JD. I had 6. Drell had 7. Like I said, John had a technical error there on his. I would love to do more than 6 this week. That'd be great to get. But the playoffs, man, this week is not gonna be easy either.
Get tougher and tougher.
Yes, definitely check that out. Though the Hanna Engineering, great sponsor of our Pick'em contest. They help us get the prizes and whatnot. We got a prize going to Chase H, our regular season winner this week. We'll have a new playoff winner here in a couple weeks as well. Doing a shout out our playoff performers brought to you by the George Agency. Open enrollment is here. Check them out. Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew, thegeorgeagency.net for all your group insurance needs, your individual needs, whether you're a seasonal worker, maybe your company doesn't offer insurance, whatever it is, check them out. They can help you out for sure. Go check out the blog. It's on our Facebook page, on our Twitter page, on our website, movingchains.com. It's got a list of all the big-time stats, performances we saw from last week. Continue to send us that stuff. It's really cool to see each week and see all these guys who had just huge games across the state. Definitely check that out on all of our platforms to give those guys some love for sure. Like I mentioned earlier, check us out on Thursday night. We'll have a Eric Bendig interview coming out, Philip Simmons head coach, talking about their whole season up to now and also previewing the game against Brooklyn Casey on Friday night. That'll be a great interview to check out. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MovinChains, website movingchains.com, podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do our weekly preview show, 7 o'clock on Tuesdays here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Love to have you guys interact. This is a lot of fun. It's been a great show, John. A lot of interaction. It's been really, really fun. We do our weekly recap show. Comes out on Sundays on Apple, Google, Spotify, etc. Our Friday night spaces. Really would love to have you guys hop in on that on Friday night on Twitter/X. It's about 10:30, 11 we go live. Basically, we roll through the scores from across the state. We have different fans, coaches, play guys hop in. Love to have you guys request to join and tell us about the game that you were at too. Would love to have someone from every game hop in. That would be really cool to see. So hopefully you guys will join us for that on our Twitter/X page this week. Anything else I'm missing, Drell and John? I feel like I'm talking a lot. I need a drink of water here. Y'all step in for a second.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Some awesome second round games. And the first round, I feel like we kind of caught our breath a little bit. A lot of chalk in the first round, but it's getting really good, really fast now.
Yeah, still got like 50 people still hanging around with us, man. This has been awesome. This is the longest preview show we've ever done. Definitely the most live comments. I think we shattered that record. So everybody's really just locked in for the playoffs and just really excited. Kev's putting on the hat. He's going to let you guys know, man. We got
Movin The Chains merch. We got beanies. We got hats, Richardson hats, Yupong hats. Really nice stuff. A lot of different colors for you guys. We have some hoodies as well. We got a white hoodie, a gray hoodie. Super comfortable stuff. Hey, it's getting cold out there. The grass is turning brown. It's playoff weather. Get you a hoodie. Warm up for the games. Logo on the back and front. Really good stuff. This helps us, make the show better and better. We get better equipment, get better interviews, get better all kinds of stuff. Definitely support the guys. mtcgear.sc@gmail.com or just send us a message on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. We'll take care of you. We got pictures on all of our social media pages for that stuff as well. Any final thoughts, John, Jarrell, as we head into round 2 of what should be another great night. Or Drew, any other comments need to pop up on the screen as well? Anybody else come through late here we need to talk about?
No, I just want to thank, we'll definitely reach out, but Allison and Kurt and, Courtney, Bradley, everybody, thanks for supporting us. We really do appreciate it. So, we thank you guys for tuning in. You guys don't have to, and you choose to. So, we have a lot of fun covering this high school football thing, SCISA, high school league, everything. So it's a lot of fun. So thank you all for your support.
100%.
For sure. Definitely, I want to shout out Kurt, appreciate you. Robert, appreciate you. Alice, appreciate you. Bradley, appreciate you as well. All you guys who are in here, thanks for doing that. Thanks for commenting all night long. We'll be probably another long show next week because, these games are getting big. A lot more comments. Looking forward to talking to you guys again next week for sure. Moving the Chains, as always, is brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jarrell Hendricks and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Round 2 playoff preview show. We will catch you guys soon.